Potato.
Live from Melbourne, this is 7 Afternoon News with Andrew McCormack.
Good afternoon. First to a terrifying crash on the Westgate Bridge. Right now, one person is fighting for life after a car and truck crashed at Spotswood. 3 others were also taken to hospital. Live now to Paul Dowsley, who is following this story from Port Melbourne. And Paul, 3 others were also arrested.
Andrew, our news helicopter was overhead as the 3 passengers from the silver sedan were handcuffed in the middle of the freeway, just near the top of the Westgate Bridge, outbound on the Spotswood side. That sedan had collided with a small truck about 10:35 this morning. The impact saw that truck from the charity St Vinny's flip and land on its side. Its 2 occupants were thankfully not badly injured, but that silver sedan had 5 on board. At least 1 was trapped. He and another man, both believed to be in their 20s, received critical injuries and are both in the Royal Melbourne Hospital this afternoon. 2 other men were taken to the Footscray Hospital. The Westgate Bridge was closed outbound for about 4 hours, except for just 1 lane to empty all that stuck traffic from the freeway as the police major collision investigation unit moved in. And it became clear that, according to some witnesses, that silver sedan had been driving dangerously just before the crash.
The silver Ford went past me probably twice my speed, and he was flying across from one side of the road to the other, changing lanes just like a madman. And I said to myself as he went past me, I said, he won't make it to the other side of the bridge. I was doing 80 and I reckon he would have been doing at least 140.
Those 3 arrested passengers have been released so far without charge, Andrew. As for the traffic here, 15 minutes ago it was clear and running smoothly after this crash. Now it's banked up again, but it seems that the backlog has certainly cleared.
Thanks for that, Paul. Paul Dowsley there. There's more pain on the way for mortgage holders. For the 3rd consecutive month, the Reserve Bank has lifted the official cash rate in a bid to rein in soaring inflation. Today's hike in line with expectations of 0.5%. Let's bring in Network Finance editor Gemma Acton now. And Gemma, this means some borrowers will be paying hundreds of dollars more per month.
Yes, indeed, Andrew. All borrowers on variable rates, most likely. If you add in the May and June hikes as well, if you've got a $500,000 loan, you're looking at around $333 extra every single month. If you have a $1 million loan, double that, so around $665. And I'm afraid to say it doesn't look like the pain is over. The Reserve Bank was very clear today in its messaging that there will be more rate rises ahead. Indeed, if you speak to economists, they tell you exactly the same thing. They expect rate rises at the next few meetings as well. In fact, the majority of economists expect the cash rate to peak at 2.5%, likely early next year.
This is really challenging news for Australians who are already doing it tough. Just because this was expected today doesn't mean it will be any easier for people to cop.
And Gemma, just how quickly can we expect the banks to start passing on this increase?
Well, Andrew, they tend to wait until after the 6 p.m. news bulletin. They don't want to give the customers bad news immediately, but make no mistake, they will almost certainly pass this on. And generally they do it either that night or by the next day. Where they're a little slower is passing on increases to savers. They tend to be much more selective. Last time it was generally only to online savers, term deposits or younger savers.
Thanks there, Network Finance editor Gemma Acton. Former AFL star Sam Fisher is set to be released on bail as he awaits his next court date on serious drugs charges. Tegan Doling has the latest from Ravenhall Correctional Centre.
Former Saints Sam Fisher has been on remand here at Ravenhall since his arrest in May, but today he will be bailed to check straight into rehab at a centre in Woodend. The 39-year-old has been charged with trafficking a large quantity of methamphetamine as part of a cross-border operation with a man in Western Australia. He's accused of trafficking methamphetamine in white goods to avoid detection. The court heard Fisher had been captured on CCTV picking up a range hood that was later posted to Perth. The estimated value of the drugs allegedly found inside is around $230,000. His lawyer argued that Fisher would be pleading not guilty to the charge, which carries a maximum penalty of life in prison, but admitted he does have a drug addiction to methamphetamine and GHB, which worsened during the COVID pandemic. Fisher will be driven straight to his rehab centre on release, where he'll spend 90 days. He has to undergo 2 drug tests a week, report to police, and his parents had to provide a $25,000 surety.
6 people have been shot dead at an Independence Day parade in the United States. As US correspondent Tim Lester reports, police have arrested the alleged gunman.
For Americans celebrating their national birthday, a shocking and yet familiar crime. Innocent parade goers murdered, the accused having left apparent clues to his crime online. A small town style July 4th parade in an affluent northern Chicago suburb turns to mass panic. The gunman, apparently perched on a rooftop, showers the street with bullets.
Just a rain of gunshots, just so quickly for quite a while.
The parade was approximately 3/4 of the way through when the shooting occurred. So very random, very intentional, and a very sad day.
Police recovered a high-powered rifle from the scene. The gunman escaped. As the hunt for the killer grew, officers named this man as a person of interest, a 22-year-old local, Robert E. Cremo.
He is considered armed and dangerous. Community should not approach him.
Police eventually confirming the man's arrest after a brief pursuit. The president alluded to the tragedy in a July 4th speech.
You all heard what happened today, but each day we're reminded there's nothing guaranteed about our democracy.
The shooting comes just after Congress passed its first significant gun reform package in almost 3 decades. That followed mass shootings in Texas and New York State.
550 new homes are in limbo this afternoon after one of Victoria's residential building companies collapsed this week. Customers of Snowden Developments are concerned they'll now lose their entire deposits. Live to Emma O'Sullivan. And Emma, customers are now scrambling to find other builders to finish their dream homes.
Andrew, the Victorian company is now in the hands of administrators owing at least $17.8 million to creditors and a further $9 million to related entities. The news was confirmed to customers in an email on Friday. It's caused heartache for hundreds of people like Alicia Healy, who's been living with her in-laws waiting for her home to be built, but work never started. Alicia and her husband Josh bought a house and land package in the Marigold housing estate in Tarneet early last year. They had hoped to be there to celebrate Christmas in 2021. They'd put time, effort and money into planning their first home and now fear losing their deposit of almost $11,000 to the failed building company.
All this time and this effort and at home and going out to places and looking at baths and colours and showers and all that kind of stuff. So, it's a lot of time wasted.
They have neighbours in a similar position. Greg is renting in Melbourne with his family. They purchased the house and land package to build their first home. Greg says plans on where the family will live are now in limbo.
I could be looking at the loss of $11,000, having paid basically that money for an empty lot of land.
So there are a total of 282 Snowden projects where a deposit was paid but work hasn't started. A further 268 homes are unfinished. Anyone affected by their builder going bust is encouraged to look at the VMIA website. That stands for the Victorian Managed Insurance Authority. There's an information bar at the top for those people affected by the Snowden collapse.
Thanks, Emma. Emma O'Sullivan there. It's not over yet. That's the word from the New South Wales Premier as Sydney remains in the grip of another flood emergency. 23 local government areas across the flood zone have been declared a natural disaster. Amelia Brace joins me now from Sydney's northwest. And Amelia, how high did the Hawkesbury River peak?
Well, Andrew, the Hawkesbury peaked behind me this morning at 14 metres, which was higher than what we expected and then also higher than what we saw in the flooding emergencies back in March and also last March. And that prompted evacuations in the suburb of Windsor, including the local police station, which was inundated. In the nearby suburb of Riverston, it was the fireys that were dealing with flooding as the SES swept in to rescue some of their neighbours, which had been caught unaware underwear by this quickly rising floodwater. An elderly woman had to be taken out of her home by boat and taken up to dry land. And as that was happening, right around the corner, there was another rescue underway of a teenage boy who was stranded on the second level of his home. And that just gives you an idea of the relentless nature of this emergency here across Western Sydney. And that's why the SES is frustrated, saying that overnight they had at least one hoax call, and they're also annoyed at people who are not leaving their homes when they're told to evacuate.
If those evacuation orders are in place, please leave. Our SES volunteers and those rescues, when they get carried out, they're also putting our volunteers at risk, and ultimately if you stay, you're putting your life at risk as well.
And looking ahead, the rain has now finally started to ease here in Sydney. But as you mentioned, we're not out of the woods. We are still consistently seeing evacuation orders issued and updated. So unfortunately, it looks like another long and potentially dangerous night ahead. Andrew.
Thanks, Amelia. Amelia Brace in Sydney's northwest there. Meantime, maritime authorities say they're preparing for slow and steady progress as they continue efforts to move a Stricken bulk carrier into Botany Bay.
It's far from over, the challenge that we're facing there, and obviously in this torrential weather and in the environment we're in, the situation can change very quickly.
Stay with us. We'll have more on this developing story later in the hour. Australia has a new leading cause of cancer next. We'll speak to an expert about why more people are being diagnosed. Also, a fire tragedy west of Melbourne. And how the floods in New South Wales will impact the grocery prices on our supermarket shelves. All that and more just ahead.
Let's get in, let's get out. Let's just make it about 8 minutes, eh?
I make a similar speech in the bedroom just before.
It's the front bar after dark.
Everyone got into it. You did.
No, I didn't do it.
You didn't do it? Well,
no.
Explain this shot.
No. I got papped there. I was just putting the washing out.
The Front Bar, Wednesday on 7.
Did you know last week the super guarantee increased to 10.5%? For many employees, this means you'll be putting away more super towards your future. But not all super funds are equal. In times of economic uncertainty, it's extra important to be confident your hard-earned savings are in the right place. Compare options with a long-term mindset. A small difference in fees and returns could make a huge difference to your retirement. Funds like Australian Super make profits for members, not for shareholders. And as Australia's largest super fund, Australian Super can leverage its size and scale to find the best investment opportunities, helping you make the most of your super.
It's Australian, it's super, and it's yours.
With doubt and dismay you are smitten. You think there's no chance for you, none. Why the best books haven't been written. The best race hasn't been run. The best score hasn't been made yet. And the best song hasn't been sung. The best tune hasn't been played yet. Cheer up, for the world is young. For the best verse hasn't been rhymed yet. The best house hasn't been planned. The highest peaks haven't been climbed yet. The mightiest rivers aren't spanned. Don't worry and fret, faint-hearted. The chances have just begun. For the best jobs haven't been started. The best work hasn't been done.
Oh. What's your secret? Honestly?
It took me all day. Getting the timing right is the real trick.
To keep it nice and tender?
You don't want to leave it in the oven too long.
But not long enough and you won't get that.
Super crispy, bubbly pork crackle?
It's a real juggle.
I just thought, wouldn't it be nice to do something special?
Riverview Farms Australian hot roast pork comes cooked, ready to enjoy. Farming is our business. Whatever porky you tell about how you prepared it, well, that's your business.
I can see it's happening now. The rising sun is conquered in the north and...
She's right. The Roos are beating Gold Coast. Our anytime goal scorers are home and we just need a few more touches for the disposal legs.
How do you do that?
It's easy with our new same-game multi-tracker. Now you can follow your bet live, all in the one place.
So can that thing see into the future, or...?
Same-game multi-tracker, only with Sportsbet.
Introducing the smokiest, sauciest, fall-apartiest sub yet. The new low and slow pulled pork sub. Tastes slow good.
Harris Scarf's stocktake sale is on now. Bunker down with up to 30% off all electrical, up to 50% off all clothing, and up to 60% off all homewares in Manchester. Exclusions apply. See in-store or online for details. Sale ends Sunday, 17th of July.
One person has been killed in a suspicious factory fire near Ballarat. Fire crews forced their way into the building around 6:30 this morning, but were unable to save the 39-year-old man. Two others managed to safely get out.
We believe the occupant was living inside in a caravan. The fires caused extensive damage to the front of the building, and it's heavily smoke clogged out through the whole building as well.
The arson squad has been called in to investigate. The flood crisis in New South Wales is expected to send food prices soaring even further. Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of crops have been wiped out near Sydney. The lost produce includes baby cos, iceberg lettuce and Chinese cabbage.
We've basically got a total wipeout, so the farm's gone under completely.
Prices have already been skyrocketing as a result of rising fuel costs. Prostate cancer now has the unenviable title of the most common form of cancer in Australia, overtaking breast cancer. This year alone, more than 24,000 men are expected to be diagnosed with the deadly disease. The head of research from the Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia, Professor Jeff Dunn, joins us live. Jeff, thanks for coming on. Why are we seeing these cases increase?
Andrew, first, thank you for your interest in the story, and good evening to you and your listeners. Yes, there's been a significant increase, hasn't there? A 34% increase from the last AIHW, Australian Institute of Health and Welfare figures. Look, primarily there are two drivers for the increase. Our population is increasing, so there's more of us. And secondly, our population is ageing. And as we get older, our risk of getting prostate cancer increases. So in a combined way, our ageing population and our growing population are leading to increasing numbers of people being diagnosed. And importantly, this is just not a once-off. We can expect the numbers of men with prostate cancer to be diagnosed to increase into the future.
It's concerning. How do people know if they're at risk, Jeff?
Well, okay, so we've got some current guidelines. So the first thing we'd all ask all people to do is be aware of the guidelines and be aware of their own risk factors. If you're 50 and over, please talk to your general practitioner about prostate health. If you've got a family history, so if you've got a father, an uncle, a brother who's had prostate cancer, you are at an increased risk. Doesn't mean you'll get the disease, but it does mean you've got an increased risk, and you should talk to your general practitioner from age 40. And importantly, if you have any symptoms whatsoever, pain, swelling, unexplained weight loss, increased frequency, having to go to the bathroom more often, blood in your urine, pain having sex, you should talk to your general practitioner immediately as a matter of priority.
And Jeff, what can be done maybe in regards to research or funding so fewer men are diagnosed with the disease?
Yeah, well, we need to increase funding in prostate cancer. You know, at the moment, prostate cancer, sees about half the funding for research that other cancers do. And that's terrific, and we don't want to change what other cancers get, but prostate cancer is a major public health issue. We need to increase research, and we need to review our prostate cancer screening guidelines. The current ones are a little out of date. There is new evidence. We've made some magnificent advances in treatment and screening and imaging, and we need to make sure that they're up to date and consistent with what we know about prostate cancer today.
It's an important message, Professor Jeff Dunn. Thanks a lot for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Andrew.
Coming up next in sport, ruck relief coming for the Western Bulldogs ahead of a busy month. Also, a pair of Aussies through to the final 8 at Wimbledon, but a time-honoured tradition could see Nick Kyrgios again fined. And just how many dogs do you need to eat in 10 minutes to be a world champion? New sport and the latest weather, that's coming up in just a moment.
I'm Dr. Sean Murphy. Are you injured?
My chest hurts when I breathe.
You are very lucky. We usually don't drive to work this way.
All new The Good Doctor, tonight on 7.
Right now at Bridgestone Select, when you buy 3 selected Bridgestone car or SUV tyres, you'll get the 4th for free. For tyres and auto service you can count on, you're always in safe hands at your local Bridgestone Select.
What's the plan, Robbo?
I'm just having a couple of same-game multis.
You know you can play it safe, right?
What are you thinking?
Well, first, use a bookie with safer gambling tools. And then, set a deposit limit. It'll help keep your betting in check.
Done.
Nice shot, mate.
Having a bet? Have a game plan. Set a deposit limit. A message from Responsible Wagering Australia.
For goodness sake, Australia, it's time to wake the fake up. Trendy green goop. Try something with substance. Get wholesome goodness with Australia's favourite Uncle Toby's Oats.
Quick sachets half price this week at IGA.
At Carpet Call, we're the experts in all things flooring. We're the experts in carpet, experts in timber, hybrid and laminate flooring, experts in DIY home improvements, experts in fashion rugs, experts in floor care, even experts in Australian-made blinds and shutters. So, for all your flooring and window covering needs, call Carpet Call now, the experts in the trade.
Call Carpet Call. The experts in the trade.
Got $1 a week? At the Herald Sun, we're for giving you great value. Get digital access to all our news, including sport and entertainment, for just $1 a week for the first 12 weeks. Call 1800 323 444 today.
Get your Woolies worth with weekly specials on in-season citrus, like fresh Australian loose navel oranges, now just $2.50 a kilo, making fresh more affordable. That's today's fresh food people.
Start your day with Sustain Complete. So, whatever you do, wherever you are, your dry eyes won't hold you back. From a quick stopover to a rewarding chase, Sustain Complete keeps you focused every step of the way. Sustain Complete, all-in-one relief for all types of irritated, tired, dry eyes. Sustain Complete. 2 drops, 1 focused you. Now preservative-free. Visit the Sustain website to learn more.
Live from Melbourne, you're watching 7's Afternoon News. 14 degrees outside right now. Sonia Marinelli will be here with the forecast a little later in the hour. Time now, though, for sport with Natalie Needies. And Nat, we're getting to the business end of the season, but alarm bells, they're not ringing just yet at the Bulldogs, despite the fact they're outside the top 8.
That's right, Macca. There's good news for the Dogs. They've received a major boost as they fight to keep their finals hopes alive. Mitch Cleary joins us with the latest, and Mitch, reinforcements are on the way.
Well, Nat, Tim English will return on Friday night to face Sydney, having missed the last 2 weeks with concussion. The ruckman trained well today. So did Adam Treloar, who was in some doubt with a tight hamstring. Coach Luke Beveridge confirmed the midfielder will face the Swans. It comes at a pivotal time, as you said. The Dogs a game outside the 8 with games against Sydney, St Kilda, Melbourne and Geelong all over the next month. The coach not bristling, he was bristling today at suggestions. They've left their run too late.
There's a third of the season just under still to go. I mean, people have got to remember that. Sure. And our form line's been relatively strong, in recent times. We've just been beaten by a good side. Our game fell apart a little bit in that third quarter, no doubt, which is disappointing. But the alarm bells aren't ringing.
Brownlow medalist Tom Mitchell has reaffirmed his commitment to Hawthorn. The midfielder started on the bench against the Giants, but he has put to bed any suggestions he could look to chase a flag at another club. Meanwhile, Hawk James Warple could miss the rest of the season. The midfielder requires surgery after he dislocated his shoulder in that loss to the Giants, while Scams have confirmed luckless son Connor Buderick will have another knee reconstruction. It's the second time the defender has ruptured the ACL in his right knee. Tonight at 6, we go one-on-one with a key cat ahead of a bumper clash with Melbourne on Thursday. Nat?
Thank you, Mitch. Well, Richmond will not contest Nick Voston's one-match ban for striking. The defender was cited for this off-the-ball hit on Eagle Connor West. He'll now join Dustin Martin on the sideline for Saturday's clash against Gold Coast. But the AFL Tribunal will still sit tonight. Brisbane forward Eric Hipwood has a case to answer after he was charged with pushing his opponent into an umpire. Our Aussies are starring at Wimbledon. Nick Kyrgios and Ajla Tomljanovic are through to the quarterfinals. Kyrgios was pushed all the way by Brandon Nakashima, needing 5 sets to reach his first Grand Slam quarterfinal in 7 years.
I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just going to put my... I need a glass of wine for sure tonight. For sure.
Tomljanovic became the first Australian woman to reach back-to-back quarterfinals in 22 years, coming from a set down to beat Elisa Cornet.
I don't know, I didn't really think I could do it, so.
Alex de Minaur blew his chance to face Kyrgios in the quarters. He surrendered a 2-set lead and 2 match points in his loss to Christian Garin, while Jason Kubler's dream run came to an end in straight sets against American Taylor Fritz, who will now take on world number 4 Rafael Nadal and Macca. It could have been amazing, Kyrgios and de Minaur, but it wasn't to be.
It's not, and Nat, I hope you're hungry because now 2 sport of a different kind, but one just as competitive. It's the 4th of July annual hot dog eating competition in New York. World champion Joey Chestnut Jaws claimed an easy victory. The 37-year-old managed to eat 63 hot dogs and buns in just 10 minutes to claim his 15th title. Coming up next, the Reserve Bank has lifted interest rates again, what it means for borrowers. Also, the latest from a horror crash on the Westgate Bridge, plus an elderly woman, the victim of a cruel robbery, and more school holiday chaos, what travellers need to know. That's coming up, and our top stories just 2.5 minutes away.
It's time to go. Estelle, Reggie.
They thought it was over. Now the real game begins.
Welcome to my arcade.
Oh my God.
This game could be worth $250,000.
Reggie.
Get ready for Big Brother's most devious twist yet.
Estelle doesn't go down without a fight, so let's fight.
Big Brother, tonight 7:30 on 7.
This is Terry, on his way to deliver to Gary, who runs a small local business. But it's not all Australia Post is delivering for Aussie businesses. They've delivered $1 billion of investment in tech, vehicles and parcel facilities to help businesses like Wax On Candles go from the garage to the globe.
Hey, how's the candle business? We're on fire.
Good one, Gary. $1 billion to help Aussies and their businesses. Another way Australia Post is delivering like never before.
Max, you look so relaxed and happy.
I'm not happy. The sky's screaming at me. Help me.
Excessive panting can be a sign of stress. Adaptil is scientifically proven to help calm dogs.
Bring on summer.
Greetings. As an immortal, I've seen technology come so far. Now Wild makes it so easy for delicious mortals like you to write your will online.
With 2 motors, 1 petrol, and 1 electric, you can drive every day on electric using petrol for longer trips. The MG HS Plus EV, the easy way to EV.
Drop, drop, drop the tammy. Lift, lift, lift the stains. Cold, cold, cold power.
Our cold water enzyme lifts even stubborn stains.
And love, love, love the
cold power. Embrace the cold.
What? Check out the car insurance renewal.
Oh, you're kidding.
Car insurance premiums are rising, so now might be a good time to have a look around.
Let's lock that in.
And see if you can get better value. Stefan did, and he saved $288 when he switched to Yui. We're a car insurer that can save you money by covering you for where your life's at right now.
Wow.
Yui. You insured.
Live from Melbourne, this is 7 Afternoon News with Andrew McCormack.
Welcome back. Returning to our top story, and one person is fighting for life following a horror crash on the Westgate Bridge this morning. Another 3 people were taken to hospital after a car collided with a truck, forcing it to flip in the air. Witnesses have described the Ford sedan speeding and driving erratically moments before the smash. Police arrested 3 people at the scene. All have since been released without charge. The crash caused traffic chaos, with the bridge not reopening until 2:30 this afternoon. The Reserve Bank has lifted the interest rate by 0.5%. The cash rate now sits at 1.35%. This is the 3rd consecutive month the RBA has made the move in a bid to curb inflation. Rates are now rising at their fastest pace since 1994. But today's decision is in line with economists' expectations. Shane Oliver, Chief Economist at AMP, joins us live. And Shane, thanks for coming on for a chat. What does this mean for Australian households?
For Australian households with a mortgage, if they've got an average mortgage of around $500,000, it means roughly an extra $140 to $150 a month in interest payments. And the total increase in interest payments so far this year would have added up to an extra $4,000 on an annual basis.
How quickly do you think we'll see banks passing on the rate to borrowers, rather?
I think the banks will pass on the rate hike instantaneously. There may be, I think, notification will go out within the next few days, and that change will occur within the next week or so.
And Shane, as we mentioned before, this is really to rein in inflation. So have we seen any impact of that yet?
So far we haven't in terms of inflation. In fact, inflation is still going higher as higher power bills and higher gas bills feed through. So we're probably going to see inflation go up to 7%. But we are already seeing an impact on things like consumer confidence and house prices. Consumer confidence is very low. House prices are falling in Sydney and Melbourne and slowing down nationally. And I think ultimately that tells us that the Reserve Bank's actions are starting to get traction, and the Reserve Bank probably won't have to raise interest rates as much as many people fear, because slowing growth in the economy will take pressure off inflation.
Well, that's good news, but we've had obviously 3 months of increases in a row now. So what should we expect from the Reserve Bank before the end of the year? Do we think these will stabilise before the end of the year?
I'm hopeful, but I think the most likely scenario is that we will get more rate hikes. The Reserve Bank intimated as much in their statement today. They indicated they will do whatever is necessary to get inflation down, and they expect to increase interest rates further. So we're looking for another 0.5% or so hike in the August meeting. Thereafter, I think they will slow down. By the end of the year, the cash rate will have increased to 2.1%. In the first half of next year, though, I think it will peak at 2.5%. And in a year's time, with a little bit of luck, we should be looking forward to lower interest rates.
Okay, Shane Oliver from AMP, thanks a lot for your time today. Cheers.
Thank you.
Police are hunting up to 8 boys over a cowardly attack on an elderly woman in Langwarrin. The boys surrounded the 87-year-old, stealing $100 and pushing her onto the ground. The assault last Thursday morning has left the woman traumatised.
She's absolutely devastated. She's stoic 87-year-old, fiercely independent, and these people have, in some way taken that from her. She's devastated about what's happened, and she was trying to help them.
The group of up to 8 boys was last seen walking towards Centre Road. The wild weather interstate is causing more mayhem for travellers these school holidays. Last-minute delays and cancellations are leaving families stranded. Rochelle Brown has the latest developments from Melbourne Airport.
Melburnians have been left frustrated and out of pocket due to repeated cancellations. Multiple Jetstar and Virgin travellers trying to escape the cold for a getaway have reported lengthy delays. Some have been forced to book additional accommodation as they wait for a new flight.
4 yesterday, then it got pushed to 4:30, then 5, then 5:30, then 8, and we're about to board and then they cancelled. So we got a night of accommodation and then we came here and the same things happened twice. And we just want to get home to the dogs.
Last night I got a first text message from Qantas saying that my flight from Melbourne to Sydney was delayed. And then throughout the night while I was sleeping, I got multiple messages saying my flight from Sydney to Singapore was delayed and my flight from Singapore to Heathrow was delayed. It's very frustrating, especially because I haven't been home for 4 years, and any time I'm spent waiting is time that I'm not spending with my family.
Others were forced to abandon their plans altogether.
Just an email through too, no
call or anything like that, so that could have easily ended up in a junk box.
It's the result of a perfect storm. Airlines are battling bad weather, staff shortages and a surge in demand. It comes as a new survey revealed roster uncertainty is pressuring overworked pilots to fly while tired or unfit. Jetstar says they are also having engineering issues which impacted 4 return flights from Melbourne today.
New research has revealed which Melbourne suburbs will be hit the hardest by rising interest rates. That's ahead. Also, the desperate mission to save a stricken bulk carrier, why the pandemic declaration has been extended yet again, and what happened when a kangaroo tried to cross the road. We're live from Docklands. This is 7's Afternoon News.
Imagine a place of complete serenity.
We're not looking for flowers, we're looking for jade.
This ain't it. Every Tuesday, come on the world's newest, biggest treasure hunts.
Colour, yeah.
That's what we came here for. They've always got their eye on the prize.
You got to be in it to win it.
Oh, I found a bit of opal.
We might be eating steak for a change.
Outback Tuesdays tonight on Mate.
Invest with Latrobe Financial, Australia's multi-award winning wealth manager, trusted by Australians for 7 decades.
Survivors of sexual abuse should not enter into the redress scheme before seeking legal advice. Arnold, Thomas and Becker can advise you on all your compensation entitlements, which can be over $1 million. Call Arnold, Thomas and Becker Lawyers.
Ferrari formal wear and bridal mega sale is on now. Get up to 70% off. Bridal gowns start from $199. Men's designer suits from only $99. Don't miss the mega sale. 1 week only. Visit ferrariformal.com.au.
Shimo! In my life, would an eagle beat a hook in a fight?
Oh, look, I'm not really thinking about that.
Are you a cat person or a dog person?
You sound like you want to give your opinion on it.
What happened to your hair?
I'm not sure. Sorry.
Is it true that kids go free for a month?
Oh, absolutely.
Kids, this is our time.
What am I looking forward to? Well, I just really want what I have today.
The more life changes, the more you know what's important. MLC.
We'll take the old grout out and put the new grout in. We'll fix your leaking shower, make it brand new and sparkling. Grout Gone.
The first 7 seconds. 7 seconds to know if you love it or you hate it. 7 seconds of impulse, of prejudice. 7 freaking irrational seconds. I don't want to try to convince you. 7 seconds is enough. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cooper Formentor.
At Woolworths, we've put a price freeze on a range of everyday essentials, so you can expect the same price each time you shop, online and in-store. Helping you get your Woolies worth? That's today's fresh food people.
Our golden girl Ash Barty, ready to reveal the new direction for her life.
This is always something I've wanted to do.
Start with Sunrise tomorrow.
The Andrews government has just announced it will extend the pandemic declaration for another 3 months. The government says that will give the Health Minister the powers she needs to protect public health. It will now expire on the 12th of October, just 6 weeks before the election. And as Nick McCallum reports, that comes as pressure mounts to expand booster injections.
As the country's top medical officials prepared to discuss an expansion of the 4th jab booster program, Victoria hit a tragic COVID milestone. With 16 deaths over the past 24 hours, more than 4,000 Victorians have now died with COVID. Atagi meets tomorrow the expansion of the 4th booster shot program on the agenda. Now it's available to those over 65 and the vulnerable.
There is a need to move with some urgency to provide 4th doses, particularly for health workers, and it makes sense.
And he wants to make it mandatory for those workers, with new variants now accounting for 40% of detections in Melbourne's wastewater. Some experts want the fourth shot broadened even further.
I definitely think it's time we made it more widely available. Certainly many countries are vaccinating 50 and over with the fourth dose.
But Victoria's third dose rate remains below 70%. The Premier defensive about that.
I tell you what, there's plenty of countries in the world, they take 70% first dose, let alone 70% third dose.
If the government had been more encompassing and more encouraging rather than lecturing, we would have actually had a better outcome.
Mr Andrews was out spruiking today his government's respiratory clinics. He says they are keeping people out of emergency departments. Eventually, there will be 53 such clinics, 36 in metropolitan Melbourne, 17 in regional areas.
Already struggling mortgage holders have been dealt another blow from the Reserve Bank, lifting the cash rate by 0.5% earlier today. New data from Joust has revealed which suburbs will be hit the hardest. Let's go straight to Joust Chief Executive Carl Hammerschmidt now. And Carl, lots of borrowers out there might be a bit nervous. Which areas in Melbourne and Victoria are going to feel this the most?
Oh, hi Andrew, how are you? Yes, we work with a company called Digital Finance Analytics. They've got a rolling omnibus survey of around 50,000 households around Australia. And they've found that nationally if you take into account the last three rate rises, there's over 2 million households suffering mortgage stress. And that's on a cash in, cash out basis. So they're either already struggling to pay the mortgage, or that they're doing it under duress. In Victoria, that amounts to over 600,000 households now. And we found that it's the suburbs around the southeast and also the northwest of Melbourne that are really feeling it. Places like Moorabbin, where there's 45% of households under mortgage stress currently, Bend of Islands, Strathmore Heights, Williamstown, but also suburbs that are you would think that reasonably quite affluent as well, like Toorak and Kew, which have got 50% and 21% mortgage stress as well.
So we are expecting these rate hikes to continue. What's your advice to mortgage holders at the moment?
Well, look, we think that the rate going to go to anywhere between 1.5% and 2% this year, and then in 2023 anywhere up to 2.5%. So the advice would be to shop around, make sure that you're getting the best deal. If you're coming off a fixed rate or you've been waiting to see what happens and you're on a variable rate, look at all the lenders, make sure that you're getting the best deal possible, and there'll be a lot of competition for all the new mortgages that are coming on the market over the next 6 to 12 months.
And just finally, Carl, what about those looking to enter the market for the first time? Have you got any advice for them? Should they be worried about this and perhaps look to enter it sooner, or hold off and wait for it to stabilise?
Well, lenders take into account these rate movements when they assess people for mortgages. So they'll be assessing them with the rises to come in mind. And so look at, as I said, there'll be a lot of competition for people coming, their mortgages coming onto the market between the lenders now. And so, if you shop around, if you're smart, you can still find very good variable rates. And, the advice is to always make sure that you're comparing what's out there and that you're looking for the best deal.
Thanks for that, Carl Hammerschmidt from Joust, the CEO at Joust there. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.
No problem. Thanks, Andrew.
Planning is underway to manoeuvre the Stricken bulk carrier into Botany Bay in Sydney. Right now, it remains at anchor off Cronulla. Authorities hope for a break in the weather that's been threatening to drive the vessel ashore. Paul Caddock has the latest.
Good afternoon. The situation is stable here for now. That is the Portland Bay. You can see behind me it is at anchor. It also has, it's attached to a tugboat with a tow line. It's about 2 kilometres offshore here near Cronulla in Sydney South. But unfortunately, things did not go according to plan last night as 2 tugboats attempted to tow it out into deeper water in 11-metre seas. Tow lines snapped, and in response to that, they thought they would bring it into a more sheltered position, which which is just here, just off the coast, where it could weigh anchor again, where they could secure the position while they came up with another plan. The crew on board the Portland Bay has not been able to restart its engines, and so the plan is now to take it into Sydney's Port Botany, where in a safe port environment those engines can be repaired. But at the moment, with the conditions, it's just not safe to move it at the moment. So the idea is to keep it steady, keep it where it is until the weather conditions start to ease.
They worked through the night to ensure that bulk carrier was in a stable and anchored position. Now, it's far from over, the challenge that we're facing there, and obviously in this torrential weather and in the environment we're in, the situation can change very quickly.
A third tugboat, the Glenrock from Newcastle, travelled down the coast to join the effort today. It will be part of the operation to eventually move the Portland Bay into Port Botany. Staying where they are all 21 crewmen aboard the Portland Bay. After yesterday, it was decided it was just too treacherous to attempt any kind of airlift. It's obviously been a long 24 hours plus now that those tugboat crews have been working on this. The next move is to try and get it into port, but just when? It'll be tomorrow at the earliest, but that's all now down to the weather.
New Zealand's Prime Minister met with Premier Daniel Andrews on the second day of her Australian tour today. Jacinda Ardern says they spoke about infrastructure projects and COVID, calling the Premier a friend.
I had quite a bit of contact with Dan through the course of the last 2 years and COVID-19 management, the exchanging of ideas, latest information, but from time to time just checking in to see how one another were doing.
This afternoon, Miss Ardern is visiting Monash University in Clayton. A kangaroo has caused traffic delays on a Perth highway after the native animal found itself trapped between the safety barriers. Cars attempted to guide it to safety, one man giving chase in his work boots.
Oh, no worries. Did it go on the other side?
The marsupial eventually managed to find its way to greener pastures. A popular product is being pulled from supermarket shelves. Details next. Also, good news for parents, how a new range of books is helping kids get to sleep. Stay with us right here on 7 News. Peter Mitchell has your top stories and Sonia Marinelli is here with the weather. Back soon.
It was less than a year ago when new names became etched into the legend of Australia. Ariane Titmus, Emma McKeon, and so many more are back at the Commonwealth Games. And you can be there with them with so much medal action.
The swimming finals in the morning.
In prime time.
Gymnastics. The athletics.
Almost every Aussie team will compete live in prime time.
Let's bring it home.
The Commonwealth Games starts Friday, July 29 on 7.
The first time you tell her she's strong.
Such a strong girl.
The first time she believes it. The first time you say, no, he didn't do it because he likes you.
It doesn't matter.
The first time she tells a friend.
Not what people do when they
The first time you say, disrespect is never your fault.
It's because of her dress.
The first time she takes a
Her dress had
stand.
nothing to do with it. Seriously, grow up.
The first time they meet. Every little talk you have shapes them.
You mind if I sit down?
Bring up respect. Violence against women. Let's stop it at the start. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
This is Australia. This is Australia.
Colorbond. Made by Australia.
It's great having fast-flowing internet. Just ask the hundreds of thousands of Aussies experiencing the Aussie broadband difference, like Matthew.
The service is fast and reliable. I cannot recommend Aussie Broadband highly enough.
Switch today. Aussie Broadband. Bloody good broadband.
Meet my boyfriend, Jake.
What's up, everyone?
What is all over your feet?
They're flowers. I study botany.
Resting dad face back there likes plants too.
Grab some pruners. Let's prune.
Everyone knows Australia has 4 big banks, but there's another big bank snapping at their heels. With 1.9 million customers, it's regularly voted one of Australia's most trusted brands. Welcome to Bendigo Bank, the better big bank.
May I have a carbon neutral espresso, please?
A carbon neutral espresso?
What?
Carbon neutral.
A coffee that thinks about the future.
In a capsule. Which capsule?
This one.
With zero CO2 impact.
And Italian taste.
Discover Lavazza's first carbon neutral aluminium capsules. Excellence for a better world. Lavazza, more than Italian.
The question that will stump them all.
After its theft, the Mona Lisa was recovered in which country? A, England. B, Germany. C, Italy.
Could you beat them to the answer?
Oh, idiots.
New The Chase, weekdays on 7.
Supermarket giant Coles has been forced to issue a recall for its popular brand of tomato paste. It affects both the 170-gram tin and 500-gram jar of home brand tomato paste. Packaging from as far back as July last year failed to declare soy as an ingredient, putting customers who have a soy allergy or intolerance at risk if they consume the product. Relief is on the way for parents of poor sleepers. Melbourne doctors have combined 2 decades of research to come up with a simple solution. They've created 6 bedtime storybooks that teach children how to go to sleep on their own and stay in bed all night. Christy Cooper reports.
Virtually all parents understand just how challenging life can be when their kids won't sleep. But the Murdoch Children's Research Institute has combined 20 years of sleep research to come up with a series of new storybooks. 6 bedtime stories have been designed to teach children to go to sleep, stay asleep all night, and wake at a reasonable hour.
This brings together 2 decades of our research at the Murdoch Children's Research Institute, where we're trying to help all Australian kids sleep better. So each book is a separate sleep strategy to address some of the really common sleep problems.
When you're tired, everything suffers. I think your relationship suffers, your relationship with your kids suffers, your work, your health.
It's been written specifically for Australian families struggling with at least one behavioural sleep issue. But they're recommended for all kids, even those who don't yet have sleeping challenges.
It's really to get kids into good sleep habits so that they sleep well and their parents sleep well as well.
They're based around a character called Kip, who's a purple pillow.
He's not far away. He can hear me just fine. Downstairs, are you sure?
The books will soon be available at libraries across Australia, or they can be bought online at sleepwithkip.com. There's also a version there that parents can access online for free. Some of the proceeds will go towards funding further research at the Murdoch Children's.
Let's take a quick look at Melbourne's roads now.
Good afternoon, it's Tamara from the Hairy Pill Traffic Centre. There are heavy delays due to a crash in Moonee Ponds. Mount Alexander Road is blocked citybound at the Moonee Ponds junction. It's also struggling outbound there past the scene. And reports are in of a crash in Bentley East on Warrigal Road at Centre Road. Commuters are hitting the brakes there in both directions. For men and women looking to regrow their hair, get a personalised treatment plan in under 5 minutes. 1 pill taken daily. Visit thehairypill.com.au.
Now to the Werribee Zoo, where a very big CT scan was needed for one of the world's largest birds. Keepers are treating Blinky the ostrich, who has a deformity on her eyelid.
We're really fortunate because they'll take anything we offer them out of our hand. So in the case of medication, you can just put it right on the palm of your hand and it's eaten like food pellets.
It's working well. Blinky is now back with her flock. That's good news. Her eye also is recovering pretty well. Sonia Marinelli joins me now for a wrap-up to the day's weather. And Sonia, we've been treated to some more sunshine today.
Oh, we sure have been, Andrew. It's no secret this is my favourite kind of weather. Today, a stunner. The sun is shining, and what more could you ask for on this Tuesday afternoon? Right now, outside in the city, it is 14 degrees. Now, weakening low is still sending heavy rain into New South Wales, but here we're under high pressure, and highs are really good at clearing out the rain clouds and relaxing the wind. But we are tracking some light showers which should arrive later this week. A little patchy cloud to start with this morning. We dropped down to 7.5 degrees, but it's been nice and bright for most of the day, the city reaching 15 just as forecast. Breezy winds are coming out of the southeast right now. They're packing an icy punch, so even though most suburbs holding around 13 right now, it is feeling closer to 10 degrees. We did have sunshine extending right across most of the state, except here in the far east, that's getting some cloud just spilling spilling over from that east coast low. Now, right now, the temperature reached the mid-teens across most of the state. But if you think our mornings are cold, spare a thought for those in Wangaratta. It was -5 there this morning. Here in Victoria, we're still under the influence of high pressure, but it is on the move. Tomorrow it heads out over the Tasman. That's going to open up the door for this cold front, which brings our next round of showers into the picture. They arrive late Thursday. They'll fall mainly on and south of the Divide during Friday before clearing out as we head into your weekend. To the forecast now, and that rain has eased quite a bit in Sydney. We've got much lighter showers forecast there tomorrow. Some showers for Brisbane as well, but dry and mild once again if you're in Adelaide and Hobart. Back home tonight, the temperature plummets. We're expecting widespread morning frost and fog. After that, a cool day, but a mostly sunny one with only light variable winds. But here tonight in the city, the temperature is forecast to drop to just 3 degrees. We've got a road weather alert in force across most of the city. They may turn icy in the morning. After that, the sunshine is going to be Wednesday's redeeming factor. We'll bathe in it tomorrow as we head for a 16-degree high. And Andrew, that's the latest. I'll have more details at 6.
3 degrees.
Yeah, our coldest morning in 12 months if we get down that low. So I think it's a double doona night tonight.
Absolutely. I'll look forward to that. Thanks, Sonia. Now let's head to Peter Mitchell in the newsroom, who's getting ready for the latest at 7 News at 6.
Thanks, Andrew. Coming up at 6, we'll have the latest on the Westgate Bridge crash that caused chaos all afternoon. A truck and a suspected stolen car collided. Several men were arrested at the scene. Also, which banks will be the first to lift their home loan interest rates after the Reserve Bank's official rise of 0.5%? We're keeping watch for you. Former AFL star Sam Fisher to walk from jail as he faces serious drug trafficking charges. A supermarket recall for tomato paste, and desperate bosses are pulling out all the stops to recruit workers. Which jobs have the best chance of asking for a pay rise and getting it? All that and more coming up at 6. Andrew.
Thanks, Mitch. And that's all from Melbourne's afternoon news. Thanks for joining us from the 7 News team. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.